Welcome to the FemiNinja Project. I am your host, Cheryl I Love, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the FemiNinja Project. Hello and welcome to another episode of the FemiNinja Project, and we are all about empowerment. And today we're talking to somebody who helps empower women with their finances through education. She is a really good friend of mine, someone I've known for a long time. Her name is Pat Frederiksen. So Pat, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cheryl. Nice talking with you.
Well, I'm so glad that we reconnected. It's always wonderful to talk to you. As I said, I've known you for quite a long time. I met you in a networking group years ago, and I've had you actually come to another networking group and speak for us to give us some tips on financial education, financial stability. And I think a lot of people are really suffering right now with the pandemic at this point. Hopefully we're toward the end of it, but a lot of people have lost their jobs, they've lost their businesses, they've lost their income, and it's really devastating.
Yes, it is. The market has dropped quite a bit, and if anybody was relying on that for their income, they're in a world of hurt right now, trying to make up for that loss. It's not over yet. It is recovering. And if you look at past history, there have been many drops in the economy. Every few years, there is a correction, and it always comes back.
You told me once recently that everybody's talking about this is completely unprecedented. We've never been in a situation like this before. Nothing like this has ever happened. We're not going to get out of it. And you completely disagreed with that.
I do. We have gone through this, recently. We have gone through it with 9/11, and then again in 2008. And, we've recovered. It's been a great bull market, et cetera. Jobs have been plentiful again. Recently in Denver, employers could not find enough people to do the jobs that they had available. So it is going to recover. This is not a one-time incident. Yes, this one is related to health. So we have other concerns, but in the past with 9/11, that was more concentrated on just the United States. The world rallied towards us. Right now, it's worldwide, so we're suffering worldwide, and it's more of a worldwide economy now, so that's where it's affecting it also.
There's something else I wanted to ask you about 9/11 and your own experience, because you were working with an airline, or you were in the airline industry when 9/11 hit.
I sure was. I was working with Continental Airlines in the reservation office. I was international. And we walked in one morning. Well, we had 9/11. I had been in Vienna for the weekend and came back to work, and my first phone call was, "Did you see what happened on television?" No idea that the towers had been hit. And for the next 9 days, all we did was try to console people around the world, and finally when things opened up, get them back again, get them home. But on the 20th, I walked in, the lights were out, the computers were off, and I lost my job. And if you know anything about the airlines, our big thing is travel, and it was not only losing a job, it was losing a lifestyle. So that was devastating. Before that, I had gone through divorce. My son was 16 and 6'4" with a hollow leg, and here I had to feed this child and friends. I had 4 jobs at that point. So then 9/11 happened. Then from there, I was really fortunate. I rebounded from that. I had planned on retiring shortly after that and becoming a mortgage broker.
Mm-hmm.
I got unemployment insurance so that I could start my business with a mortgage company and get the education. Now, after that, then we went into 2008. Mortgages, et cetera, had dropped. But in the meantime, somebody had introduced me to the insurance world, and I never ever thought in my life I would become an insurance agent. They were old fuddy-duddies as far as I knew. So there I was, and it was like, I really like this because I didn't have the deadlines of the mortgages, et cetera, and I could talk to people and help them. So that's how I came to where I am now.
So did you feel once you started doing that, you had more autonomy?
As far as autonomy, I mean,
Or maybe more flexibility in working with your clients?
I had definitely more flexibility. It's more on my time because I basically do retirement planning,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not quite as time sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody runs up to you at a meeting and says, I need to plan my retirement today, drop everything, where they did with mortgages.
Uh-huh.
And it was quite often, if I had an international trip planned, that was the day they needed something done with their mortgage. So I love this much more. And I love working with people, empowering them, making sure that they know what they're doing and why they're doing it.
I just wanted to ask you this. So do you still travel a lot internationally? I mean, after you lost your job with the airline, I'm not saying now, of course, nobody's going anywhere, but do you still have the benefits with the airline?
I sure do. We have, up until January, we were in Hawaii for 3 weeks, but up until then, probably every 4 to 6 weeks, we were on a trip somewhere.
Wow.
And I've gone to Antarctica twice, gone around the world just because I wanted to go around the world. We use it. And we've been able to take my grandson with us, open up his world.
How old is your grandson?
He just turned 14, graduated from 8th grade. And so, he's got a different perspective than most of his counterparts in school because he's seen the world. One of his favorite cities right now is Moscow.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's gone on international cruises with us. He's just a great little traveler. We love taking him with us. So.
Well, how fun for both of you, because it's incredible memories that you're making together and something that he's going to remember the rest of his life.
Absolutely. But what we keep looking at is, the education side of this and what it's doing for him, giving him a global perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Multicultural.
Oh, definitely.
So was it hard for you to be grounded? Because if you were traveling that much, you haven't gone anywhere for a long time in your world. I mean, it's been 2.5 months or more by now.
Yeah, I have not been at home this long since 1986.
Wow.
So this was a challenge. The first week I had a real pity party. I did get dressed, but that was about it. And looked around and played video games. And finally it was like, oh, I'm here. I am now home. I have this time. What can I do with it? And so I've been working on all the software that I should have really honed my experience on it much more before. And now it's like, oh yeah, I'm just learning a lot, and it's been a great experience.
Lifelong learning is what keeps us going.
Right. And, with the things that have happened in my life, it's like when life gives you lemons, make lemon meringue. And when you're drowning in the lemon meringue, go with lemon meringue pie. It's just go on. So
just keep on going. So
yeah.
With the retirement planning, that kind of got me a little curious too, because I'm sure people don't run after you saying, oh my gosh, let's sit down right now this instant and talk about retirement. How soon do people need to start thinking about retirement and start planning for retirement? Because I know there's a lot of younger population that listens to the podcast?
You can start as soon as you have a job. So as early as 16 or 14, as soon as you have earned income, you can start saving. And it doesn't have to be you that's putting this money away. Your parents, anybody else can contribute to an IRA, get that started, because the sooner you start it, the longer it has to compound.
Mm-hmm.
So you do not need as much money for retirement if you start early.
It grows at kind of like an exponential type of rate?
Absolutely. When it's compounding, the difference between simple and compounding is simple interest. If you have $1 and it's a 3% interest, you only get 3 cents on that dollar as long as you have it. Whereas if it's compounding, you're getting that 3% interest on $1, on $1.03, and so on. So it grows without you having to do the work.
Mm-hmm. So let's look at the other aspect of people who may have waited way too long to start planning their retirement. What kind of advice would you have to somebody who's maybe in their 50s and was either busy starting their business, raising their children, putting their children through school, and now it's like, uh-oh, I really need to ramp things up? How do they do that?
That's most of the people that I work with, and hopefully they have been contributing to 401ks, IRAs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
We can move those and make sure that they are making the most money on this. The difference between getting 5% and 6% on something can be huge over a period of time. That's most of the people that I work with. And at that point, they need to start taking less risk.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the insurance side comes in. We work with something called a fixed indexed annuity, which is very safe, extremely low risk. I mean, the world would have to come to an end. And it creates a guaranteed income. Because when you retire, the only incomes that are guaranteed for life are pensions, annuities, and Social Security.
Wow.
And a pension is nothing more than an annuity. Usually companies give an insurance company X number of dollars when you retire, and that's where your income will come from. So that's one way of doing it. The other is in the market, which again has risk, as we've seen. And you want to lower your risk there. So there are different ways of doing that too. So I've affiliated with a company called Royal Fund Management, and they're the ones that actually pick the stocks, create portfolios, etc., but they are on different levels of risk.
So I want to backtrack just a little bit, because it really resonated with me when you were talking about the difference between like 5% and 6% can have a huge impact over time in building your nest egg or making your money, work for you or increase your funds. Consequently, how does that impact debt, credit card debt? Because I have a funny feeling a lot of people have racked up some credit card debt during this pandemic as well.
Absolutely. There's a rule of 72, and that is if you have an interest rate of 7.2%, it will double your money in 10 years when you're compounding. So, yeah, if you can get that on your income, that's great. But think about your credit card. It's doing the same thing on that, and most credit cards start at 10%, 20%. So how fast is that doubling your original debt? So the first thing I always suggest to people is not only have an emergency fund, but pay off any credit card debt, because that is just devastating and you cannot really afford to have it in retirement.
Right. I know when my mother-in-law passed away, she had a big credit card debt. So that was something that was left for us to deal with. And she had even told my husband and his brothers, oh, when I leave, I'm going to leave you with nothing but debt. And she was right. But we were able to manage to get through it and liquidate a few things so we didn't lose the property that they had.
Yeah, credit card debt is bad, and it does go into the estate, et cetera. It affects everything. So I can't say enough about, get rid of the credit card debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They just make it too darn easy. And, in our society, especially, it's instant gratification. And I think one thing that we have learned with the pandemic is that things really don't matter.
That's right. And what I've seen is, we're saving a lot of money because we can't spend it on anything. I go to the grocery store, our grocery bills have been higher, but beyond that, there's nothing to do, nothing to tempt you.
Yeah.
So I'm not an online shopper. I guess if I was or watched the TV shopping shows, it would be different. But
yeah, I do shop online a fair amount, but I still love the hunt, going to the mall or going to a store, a retail store. But it doesn't really matter because if I buy a new pair of shoes now, who's going to see them?
that was my thought. I got a shoe catalog the other day, and it was like, well, I don't need this. So I'm not going anywhere. So.
What's the point? Exactly. I was doing, here I am, I'm in my girl cave right now. This is where, it's my office, but my office has also turned into, my recording studio where I do my Facebook lives. And it's also my ballet studio now. So I did an online ballet class this morning. And it works out just fine. It's nice. I don't have to get in my car and drive to the studio. I don't have to put on makeup. All I have to do is just come on down the stairs and there I am in the studio. And I was thinking today, thank goodness I didn't buy a bunch of new leotards, because I was thinking about doing that, right before the pandemic hit. And I thought, look at the money I saved.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad I did get some jeans, this last winter, because jeans and a t-shirt again. And so the suits have gone to the back of the closet for now. So,
well, at least you're wearing pants with zippers. I think this whole, twice during this entire time I wore pants with zippers, and it was like, wow, I still know how to do that. And my goodness, they still fit. So I was really happy about that.
Right. That's the way I measure weight gain, is do my pants still fit? So,
yeah. So tell us a little bit about Smarter Women Colorado.
This is a program I started because I wanted to empower women. Most women have not had the education that men have had. And I know when I inherited money and went to a male stockbroker, he mansplained, and I did not like it. I did not want to be talked down to. I wanted to learn. My brother even said the same thing to me, my way or the highway. And it was like,
oh,
okay, I need to learn. So that's where this has come from. And through seminars, and I do work with homeless shelters occasionally when they have somebody that really needs some help with finances, that they do have a little bit, but they need to know how to handle it, etc. I've learned some women have never done a checkbook. They don't know about their Social Security, that they can get Social Security from their ex-husband. It just goes on. And that's why women need to know this. The women that I work with are usually savers, but not huge. And truthfully, a lot of the brokers will not deal with somebody unless they have a large amount of money. And my feeling is the person that has been frugal and saved and may not have $500,000, those are the people that really need the help. They can survive their retirement with indignity, etc. And they need to know what their options are.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the women I work with are just here, do it. And it's like, okay, I don't like to do that. I want them to know why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And how it's going to affect them. If they want to leave a legacy, what they can do.
Mm-hmm. I love that because you're really teaching them and you are giving them their power back. And I just was giggling when you're talking about the mansplaining and this is the way you do it, my way or the highway. And it's like, I don't think so. If you can educate yourself and empower yourself to be able to understand that you have choices and that there are so many other ways of doing things besides how your brother wanted you to do it or how this financial advisor wanted you to do it. There are so many different ways of doing it. And it seems to me like you help bridge that gap between the people who have a significant amount of money and those who just have a little bit, but you teach them how to make it go a long way.
Absolutely. And the same with the healthcare, with the Medicare. I got into that because I didn't understand it. And if I thought as an insurance agent, if I can't understand it, how can the average person? And just this morning, I was working with a client that unfortunately her husband probably has adrenal cancer. They just discovered it yesterday and he's in the hospital. What does she do? And she said, well, my kids are all doing well. They'll take care of us. And I'm like,
Oh,
no, you don't have to worry about that. The policy that we got for you will take care of it all. You're not going to have to rely on your kids. And that's my big thing right now is a lot of people have not been able to accumulate a lot of money. And the best gift you can give your children, you may not be able to give them, a lot of money or any at all. The best gift is not to be a burden on them.
right.
I try to do the best for my clients. As a fiduciary, I have a legal responsibility, but it's always been my policy of I have to be able to sleep at night, and I do want the best for my clients.
It's called integrity.
My main concern right now are people that have lost their jobs. They need to take control of their 401k. They can't leave it at the company. An example is a friend did that. The company went out of business, and this was around 2008.
Oh, no.
She could have had quite a bit of money in her 401k. 2008 happened. They could not get to the company that held the 401k. It took them 6 months. By then, the market had totally dropped.
Oh.
And the husband was a contractor. His business had stopped. They really needed the money to live on and pay the mortgage payment, etc. They lost out entirely. So I can't say enough about you have to move your 401k. Even if you move it into a bank, whatever, you need to get control of it. And especially for those that have less than $5,000,
Mm-hmm.
if you leave it there, they can move that without your permission and start taking fees for it. So all of a sudden, your $5,000 has gone down to nothing, if you forget about it. There's a site called Missing Money, and you can go back on that, and any state that you've ever worked in and use any name you've ever used, and you can find some of these old accounts, but you need to move them and get them into your control.
I wish you could see my face right now because it is just absolutely, that's horrifying.
It is.
I can't even believe that's legal.
It is a law. Yes, they do have that ability, because it costs money. There's a third-party administrator for all these 401k plans.
Mm-hmm.
So normally you have not only your HR person in your office, but then you have the company that administers the 401k, then you have the managers, etc., with the mutual funds or however it's set up. So they have to pay their fees. And the fact that nobody is matching your contribution anymore. Why would you put it in there? Get it in your control, take out the fees.
Wow. Well, I know that you do a lot of education. I know you do a lot of even like free seminars. Are you still doing
Yes.
that?
I want to start doing that again, and we'll be doing Zoom seminars or webinars, mainly because I'm the over 60 and I just want to be a little more concerned about things. But yes, we will be doing more of those. Also, anything that I talk about would be on the blog site on Smarter Women Colorado.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's just a lot to do right now.
So if somebody wanted to get more information or reach out to you, would they just go to that website, Smarter Women Colorado?
You can reach me through that. You can email me at patf@comcast.net. And my cell phone, if you want to call and talk, 303-919-1020. I have loads of software. If you have mutual funds or you have your 401k, we can go in and take care of that for you. Make sure that you make the most out of that. IRAs, any of your funds that you have, if you need Medicare assistance, I can help you with that.
Okay, excellent. Well, Pat, thank you so much for being here. I mean, I've learned a lot. I'm still shocked about the 401k thing. But is there anything else that you want to leave our listeners with? Any advice or any tips or any words of wisdom?
I just feel that right now with the pandemic, don't panic. The market will come back. It may take a little longer than we think, but they're saying within 6 months to a year, it's going to be right back up there.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. It's just so nice to talk to you, and I'm so happy that we reconnected.
Cheryl, it's good talking with you. And yeah, I would love to get together for coffee someday when we can.
That would really be nice. To my listeners, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you tuning in. And remember, keep an eye on your finances. Give Pat a call if you need some help. And educate yourself in whatever way makes sense to you, because knowledge is power. And that is the way of the FemiNinja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the FemiNinja Project. Thank you so much for listening, and remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.